Hey guys, welcome back to my review as well as the breakdown of the small trailer of American Horror Stories episode 1 and 2, and as well as I will give you some small review on the American Horror Story episode. Now, we know that this was coming July 15, 2021. We know that American Horror Stories, the new anthology, just aired, and I am very excited, you guys. It's very refreshing to basically, have American Horror Story back. I was just joking about that with some friends, to see what's gonna be in store for us this year, because right now this is a big advertisement for us so far, and we haven't even got it started yet on the 10th season yet. So I'm just very happy at overall. It's pretty cool to see American Horror Story back. Now, the episode for American Horror Story is called Rubber Woman Part 1 and 2. Those are the cast members' names that basically are in the first two episodes of Horror Stories. We have recurring member named Matt Bomer as Michael. Some of the main character, her name is Scarlett. We have Troy. We have another member called Adam, and I'm gonna get more into depths to that. One thing that, and we even have Michael Jackson's daughter, which is Paris Jackson, playing as Maya. And the last character we have is gonna be her name is Ruby, and is played by Cara Garber. Sorry for the pronunciation, but let's get into that. So American Horror Stories was going to be aired on July 15, and we know that this was coming, like I said. One thing I'm very happy is we revert back to the first season. We basically went to go see Murder House and how everything was left off, So one thing about Murder House, we knew a lot of things, that if you die, you stay in the premises of the house. So now we're going to be discussing about American Horror Story. This is part 2 of the breakdown. We're going to dissect each part of the American Horror Story trailer before we start discussing how the overall episode was of the first 2 episodes of American Horror Stories. So like I said, you guys, let's start watching how it looks before anything else. Okay guys, all right, let's give it a quick time so we could see each frame by frame to see what's going on. Go.
Are you addicted to pain? We can help.
American Horror Stories.
Your suffering is my Viagra.
A new nightmare every week.
You don't feel all the pain that's been inflicted here.
That's what I like about it.
American Horror Stories. Now streaming exclusively FX on Hulu.
So now we know that American Horror Story not only will be aired each Wednesday, but it also will be on Hulu and other networks around the world. We also are very excited that season 10 is also right around the corner, which I'm just excited to see what this season's gonna be like. The anticipation for season 10 is getting closer, and I'm just very happy to see what's about to happen. Guys, I am so excited to say this. I'm going to be explaining what happened and a couple of days ago on American Horror Stories episode 1 and 2 is called Rubber Woman Part 1 and 2. So the episode start off exactly like this, the same nostalgic moment that we all been waiting for. When we saw the moment of the murder house, it was a smile in my face, guys. This is where it all started. So we started off with a character named Scarlett, with her two dads moving into the murder house, and things just started escalating from here and there. Basically, she had some of the same sexual problems as in the first season. I would say how she felt like the outcast of the school, as well as she was getting teased because of how she is, or she even explained that because of who she is, she might feel ashamed of letting people in of who she might be in the inside. So over time, the murder house basically, and especially the rubber suit, as she wears it, it started giving us the same lust feeling that the previous attendants had when they wore it. Started getting more perversion and sexual lust, and started becoming more menacing as the episode prolonged. We started seeing that as she put on the costume more, she gets more of the urge to not only kill but have more of the sexual urges and stuff like that. So basically, the murder house is basically it's like releasing all your wondrous ideas of what would you do to someone or even yourself, like to put you in a position of that. And her favorite thing is she loves killing. Like, that's why she felt like it was different. Now, she started falling in love with this girl named Maya, played by Paris Jackson, at school. At first, she thought that it was a crush, but it actually escalated into just bullying. So she started planning to kill herself at the murder house. And then the friends that she had basically came to see her instead of letting that happen, because they might end up getting in trouble. Now, while this is happening on this side, her parents, the two dads, basically what end up happening is they end up telling her that there's things that you're not supposed to do. You're still young, you have life ahead of you. There's things that you don't need to know quite yet. But she's not letting that many people in of how she's thinking. She started seeing some other ghosts and stuff, but eventually she started meeting the rubber man. And the rubber man, over time, she threw away basically the costume, but the costume found its way right back inside the house, which was just giving me that same moment. Episode 1 for me was very, very, very satisfying. Like, it gave us, I would not say everything, but it gave us 60% of the nostalgia moment, that not only things were happening out of control, but she didn't even know what was going on herself. But over time, like I said, things started happening even worse. She had a friend at school that basically told her, you're not supposed to trust people like that, especially if they trying to just use you. She ended up being right, because all this time she was trying to, make up with her or anything. She basically tricked her from recording at her place just to show to the school that this is what was gonna shame her for who she is and stuff. So over time, she told herself she might end up killing herself because of that. It escalated so well. Like, it had its twists, but I believe that prior to, as the episode started prolonging, the first episode, we started getting more of that nostalgic moment of the more she started wearing the suit, the more she started getting more and more into character. Over time, she ended up started killing them inside the house. The friends of Maya, all of them started dying in the house. And what ended up happening, she ended up stuffing them right inside the house. And she basically, suddenly she became a cleaner. She built up the entire wall. She cleaned up her evidence, and over time she basically pretended that nothing ever happened. And her parents was like, wait, I thought, you were. She was like, no, I wanted to show you guys that I cleaned the basement. So eventually they didn't even know that the bodies were even in the walls, And as they started saying that, a couple of weeks passed, and they just started smelling this stench inside the house. And when they went downstairs, and one of the other cast members that was introduced, his name is Adam, and he basically was just checking the place out. And over time, the other guy, the husband of Matt Bomer, which Matt Bomer played as Troy, he just started hitting on the new person that's working, the worker that's working for the house, that's fixing the house together. And then eventually they had to call the cops because not only they were smelling something that's foul, but over time they realized that, Matt Bomer's character, Michael, he started getting cheated on. It's very similar to, like, the first episode is very similar to the American Horror Story episode 1 and part of the season, because they had two partner characters that was in the murder house before. So now we had the same thing, and it's like a nostalgia because they had her kind of like as Violet. It's like every role was reversed in this episode. So Scarlett was like Violet, and Ruby is basically like Tate Landon, which this is another character. So the first episode was very good, how they set everything up. By the end of the episode, the song that was playing, which is You Belong to Me, is definitely a memorable song of American Horror Story. Not only that song was played during the first episode of American Horror Story, but it was also hinted and played in American Horror Story Apocalypse when Michael Langdon showed up at the outpost. Which, guys, I'm just happy to see what this new anthology has for us. All I know is each episode is gonna be different. The only episodes that were the same was episode 1 and episode 2 because it was called after the same name. But other than that, I know that each episode will be different. Now in total, they say that we might end up just having 7 episodes because double feature will be airing on August 25th. So this is, to think about it, we are in the 17th. So by next week here, things are gonna start wrapping up soon. So in total we'll have 7 episodes of American Horror Story. So I know that in each episode I will be recording American Horror Story every time the episode is aired. We might end up talking more about it, guys. Like I said, if you guys love what I'm doing, I would definitely welcome and subscribe to the channel. Like I said, I will have more videos coming up, but enough said, guys. Let's continue. So this will be part 2. So part 2, we left off on, we basically ended, like I said, on how she killed the friends of Maya that was in school, and now we continue in the same part where we left off. So episode 2 picks up right after that, and basically everybody start asking what happened to the girls that were bullying her at school. She basically, Scarlett just rubbed it off and said, I don't really know, but as she was killing them, or brutally, she basically, if you looked at the phone of Maya, you saw that the Infantata, which was part of season 1, was basically on her phone. So slowly but slowly, I predict that we're gonna start seeing the original ghosts that are in the murder house. But because there's so many people that has passed away in the house, you would see other different ghosts. So far we saw in the entrance of the first episode, we also saw the red ball that Tate's brother threw at the first episode inside of the murder house. The second episode took place, basically they had Halloween, And inside of Halloween, we know that that's the only time in the murder house that even, and that's the rule of season 1, where this is the only time that the ghosts could basically be manifested into the physical form. So we started seeing Maya and all the other girls wanted to kill Scarlett, but the new girl that's been protecting her in the house showed up. Her name is Ruby. Now Ruby started bullying them back. It's like, they put her hands on Scarlett, they might have a problem with her. It basically gave us the same nostalgia that Violet and Tate had, but in reverse. And it was pretty cool seeing that. I was laughing throughout the whole thing, because I'm like, oh man, that's so nostalgic for American Horror Story to bring back characters that are very similar roles to the original cast. So they went to this like Ferris wheel carnival, which represent freak show, because they had different people that are dressed up as like some of the old characters. And we saw that as she started going in and out, Ruby basically started killing actual people in the carnival. And Scarlett herself was like, she was so scared that not only this is happening, people started showing up at her house for no reason. Even cops started showing up, and they even had like a therapist. I forgot to mention on the first episode that she got killed on her way in, and now she's basically stuck in the premises giving therapy to, or counseling to people in need. It was very reminiscing of Vivian, Violet's dad, how he used to basically give Tate counseling about what is his thing that he could take away from, especially since they didn't even know Tate was a killer. So like I said, everything was like mirrored of Murder House. As they prolonged throughout the episode, we started seeing that not only she started killing people and stuff like that, she basically went back in the house, and she didn't even know she was going to be followed back. When she got there, the cops were still asking, we need to investigate the house more, because not only we're smelling like this foul smell, because the last time that they saw Maya and the other girls that hang around her was at Scarlett's place. And Adam, the person that was construction worker named Adam, was like, you do know this house is famous for a lot of killings, and I would not be surprised if that's what happened. And Michael and Troy was like, we don't really believe in ghosts, and our daughter, as crazy as she is, and she's a teenager, she would never do something like that. So as the cops came in and started breaking the walls, they discovered that the girls were not only dead, but they were like, being decaying inside the walls of the house. So they were like, what is this going on? Like, how can we let this happen? I thought, you told her not to, kill or anything. Like, what should we do? And the guy that's named Adam not only was flirting or having affairs with Troy, but Matt Bomer found out. By the time he found out, it was too late for them, because not only Ruby or even Scarlett, while she was being possessed by the rubber suit, killed her parents and stuffed them right inside the walls of the basement as well, and blocked them with cement and stone and bricks. So when they discovered that, not only they didn't realize that they were dead, but they were shocked, and they were running inside the house, leaving and running back, and they came to a conclusion that not only they're stuck, but they can't do anything because they were dead. So by the time Scarlett came back in the house, Michael and Troy was like, honey, we need to talk. They quoted. And I'm like, yo, that's so crazy, because it's giving us the moment where when Violet realized that she was dead and she took all these pills, and all this time she did not realize that she was dead. You know, they flash forward 10 months 10 months later, and Violet, the same way that they started off, Scarlett basically have a new look. She's driving, and everyone that's stuck in the place, you know, she said that she wanted to leave to start a new place, or maybe that's how she is, she can't change. And Ruby was telling her that, you know, she basically was adopted by this guy that was abusing her, and there was nothing she could do because, you know, she stuck with him, and that was now his legal guardian. So Scarlett wanted to do something about that. So she basically dressed up as the rubber woman and killed the guy. And, you know, but every Halloween the ghost could be permanently seen on the premises. So this is the only time Scarlett could see Ruby or even her family and the people that she killed. So she went back to see them every Halloween, and basically she became a full-blown killer. And she reminded me of the whole Tate thing by having the red hair and everything. And the way they closed it out, you know, part 2 kind of fell off for me, but I know that for the 3rd episode they might come back stronger, because since they say each episode is different, and I'm gonna accept that it's gonna be different since they already had like everything planned, especially for each episode is gonna be different. But this is how they close out the episode for Rubber Woman Part 2. You know, we accept now that she has to move on with her life. That's what Scarlett says, you know, but she will come back seeing them every Halloween. But now she's basically like a killer, but from what I'm seeing, she's only killing people that basically harm other people. So, you know, in a weird way, it gave us a happy ending, which is weird because the last time they trying to do that, it was an apocalypse. But due to the fact that Mallory rewrote the history, it never happened. So that kind of fell off for me. They could have left it the way it was, you know, not having a happy ending and just everything just stays in the premises. But I guess they had other plans. But like I said, this was a very rounded episode, but it was fun seeing the murder house again, guys. You know, like I said, I cannot wait for season 10, because I know season 10 is gonna bring something fresh. And you know, we definitely gonna, like I said, when I start creating more of the videos, but we'll definitely gonna talk about more on American Horror Story season 10, because I know that one thing I wanted to point out as well, they also mentioned that, you know, we might see returning characters from other season that comes back and double feature. So even that might have a connection to American Horror Stories, because the season itself that just premiered for American Horror Stories, they mentioned that it still has a small tie-in to the original anthology. So I just can't wait for that, you know. But guys, one thing I wanted to say, it was cool seeing the opening of American Horror Story again, especially the song and the opening. As always, you know, I wanted to share you guys about the opening as well. I think the opening looks dope. It's giving us the part of how I feel as if the rubber opening is like temptation, you know, the lust and the temptation that the rubber suit has. It makes you do things that you were hiding, you know. But I feel that each episode will have its different opening, which will be some insane stuff, because imagine each opening is a resemblance of the episodes of each episode. Now I think that the other 2-3 episodes will be very connected to the openings, because I don't think the openings that we just have is going to be the same as what we're going to be getting. But guys, like I said, I will definitely contact you guys more and update for more American Horror Story. Please subscribe and like in the comments. I will gladly get the support, and I'll appreciate all the support, and I can't wait to see you guys soon. Alright, thanks for that, and I can't wait to see the next episode. Bye bye.